James, we're down in Fort Lauderdale, Florida, but wherever we are, one of our favorite guests always is John Della Volpe of Fair Harvard, who is the polling expert on young people. John, we talked to you about a month ago,
Yeah.
and a real seismic shift among young people's attitude towards Trump. You follow this almost daily. How has Minneapolis affected young people?
It's shaking them. It's shaking younger people, I think, to the core, but it depends upon what younger people you're talking about. Okay. And what I mean by that is when we talk to younger Democrats, and everyone has been following this for not just for the last several days, but for many weeks, they see kind of just a moral clarity around what's right and wrong. More interesting to me, though, is what younger kind of independent people are telling us, right? That they're seeing this through a different lens and they see concern for themselves and for other members of the community. It's more personal to them. It's not about policy. It's really personal for, when I say independence, we're talking about almost half of young people identify as like independent, not part of either party. So they see it in a personal and emotional way. Has their attention. And what they're asking for Democrats is clear, okay? To not only obviously kind of draw the line to ensure this doesn't happen again, but at the same time, recognize that immigration needs to be addressed in a significant way and not just, and not just develop new policy to fix what's happening now, but an overarching policy that's going to kind of address immigration
Well,
crisis.
there was somebody, a really terrific piece in the Atlantic about 6 months ago, written by a former immigration official in the
Yeah.
Obama administration, a great expert. And what they basically says we ought to go back to something close to the Obama policy: a tough border and a pathway to citizenship, and get rid of the most violent criminal. If you put those three things together, they claim that would commit. How would young people view that?
They would almost certainly support such a movement. But the other thing that younger people are asking is that why are we even having this conversation? Why are we seeing thousands of federal officers in city streets? That's not what we voted for, right? And Donald Trump did pretty well with younger people a year ago. That's, I think, why he is in office. And what they're asking is, what does this have to do with making our community stronger? What does this have to do with making our country stronger? And more importantly, what does this have to do with your promise that you made to make my life better, to lower the cost of groceries, to provide an opportunity for me to pay my rent,
Right.
and feel good about the future of work and the ability for me to have and to provide a home for my family.
James?
So, Prop, yeah, you were talking earlier, and you developed this new product that I think is utterly fascinating. And tell us about it, because you understand it better than I.
Yeah, thanks,
What
Jay.
is it we can do? We can do right now that we couldn't do 6 months ago.
Okay, so listen, I think that with the conversation we've had in the show for a long time now is we don't do as good of enough job as we should listening to people. Okay, polls are terrific, right? I do them virtually every single day. We can quantify what people think. Focus groups, an invaluable tool. It takes a couple weeks. They're expensive, but what we don't have until now, with a new product, a new company that we've created called Crowdvox, is the ability to do deep qualitative research every day at scale in real time. So the feedback that I gave you, Al, regarding what younger people were thinking over the situation with Alex Purdy in Minnesota is because immediately after I saw the news, we were out talking to younger people at scale. The way in which we do that, James, is we've worked with the best AI engineers from around the world. Okay. And we have essentially kind of cloned my voice, my persona, and other researchers. Okay. And we can tap in to 25, 30 years of the things that I've learned about research. Not just me, we have a dynamic team of academics from other disciplines. And that allows us, for essentially pennies, okay, there's no excuse not to listen, to poll people in real time as things are breaking, to ask what they think in deep, open-ended conversations. And what we found is Americans like to share their views. They want to talk through these things. And we're able to collect data that I've never been able to do before. I've never been able to do before, every single night.
And so, ideally, for campaign, let's just say we just interviewed Colonel Vindman running through the United States Senate in Florida. But so, how do
So essentially what it works is rather than, they keep their pollster. Okay.
Right.
But any person, whether it's a candidate himself or someone on the team, starts by logging on to crowdvox.ai and you get a blank screen. It says, what do you want to understand? Right. Colonel Vindman wants to understand how to engage young people in Florida. That's the question. He'll put that in. Within a minute, he'll get a 10-question in-depth interview guide, okay, based upon 25 years of my qualitative research. You literally press a button. You want to talk to all Floridians, certain age group, certain county, whatever you want. And then within minutes, the AI is emailing folks and asking them if they want to have a conversation about the future of their state. People love it. Some people spend 5-7 minutes. Some people spend 25-30 minutes. After every conversation, we ask how it was on a scale from 1 to 5. I've received 1, 3, everything else 4s or 5s, right? And they ask if they can do this again. Okay. Within a few minutes, the information starts to show up on your phone, on your laptop. So the candidate can see it, can ask it questions, can listen to it. And it goes into basically like a ChatGPT kind of database that's secure. Okay. No one else is going to see that. And you can ask it anything. So we were asking downstairs, what should I know as a Democratic candidate in Mississippi? What do I need to know about the rural vote? Okay. And it's going to give you specific context and issues and message recommendations for that situation based upon all the other data we've collected.
You know, a great irony here with your young voters and your young people here
Yeah.
is you told us before, the thing that scares them the most, and then there is AI. They are
Yeah.
really, and you're using AI in a very, very creative and effective way. And there was a certain, good, but there's a certain irony in that.
Right. Well, there's two parts of it. 100% right. They're scared because they don't know what the guardrails are. Right. They don't know ways to impact their jobs. None of us do. Right. And it's an opportunity, of course, for Democrats to tap into this. But what I'm telling you, what they appreciate is they appreciate the ability to listen. Right. That for us to listen and for them to share, because there's no judgments. Okay. Yeah. There's no judgment by this, and it's empathetic, and you can follow up. It follows up and says, I understand why you feel that way, Al. The AI will, and say, but explain to me, tell me more about this, right? What are your hopes, your dreams, your concerns? How is the news impacting you, et cetera? The point of this is for the cost, literally of like a week of focus groups, you can have access to this 24/7, 365, never an excuse not to be in touch with the people that you care about listening to.
So I'm going to turn this over to James, but how often do you put out what you're finding?
Every day.
Every day.
Every day.
So we should be, James, we really are slacking off. We're going to be looking at Della Volpe every single day.
Every day.
Learn something because he's so good.
We're talking to people every day, and we're sharing that on my Substack and on the Crowdvox.ai website.
James.
So you said something very interesting that people want to talk about this. I would have thought if you would have done that, I don't politics. I don't think about that. I got the Super Bowl on my mind. I got all kind of shit to do. But you claim that people are more heavily engaged.
Well, they want to talk about it, but they feel, and I just did some research on this very subject. They feel like there is risks to doing that now. Okay, and as brave as the men and women are in Minneapolis and across the country, they're courageous and there's risks, physical and otherwise. And so you therefore have millions of Americans who've got questions, who want to have conversations, who want to understand other people's perspectives, but they're afraid to. They're afraid to have a photograph taken at a rally or a protest, and perhaps see their boss have access to. Everyone has a story. Okay, about being punished in some reason for their political views. They're concerned about losing a friend or a disconnection with a family member. So this is a non-judgment zone, and the AI is talking back to you, talking with you. I understand why you think that. That must be stressful. Why is that? And some people use it actually to work out some of their own, thoughts on some things, right? Almost like it's somewhat like therapeutic. They can get some things off their chest. And I'm telling you, James, they ask when they can do it again. They ask the AI, can I do this again?
And you just think people are just frustrated. The ones listening to me get mad, get in trouble.
Yeah.
To say, it's 100 reasons not to say something.
And obviously this is not going to take the job of every pollster. Okay. It's adding value to that, right?
Well, we got a lot of friends we can now tell.
Okay. Of course, but the point is that like some people's opinions are deeper than strongly approve, strongly disapprove. Right.
One of the things that I find fascinating, I used to believe this, and when I always taught this, and I take a poll and I could have a 9.5, a 95% accurate result in a 70% good questionnaire, or I could have a 99-point good questionnaire to say, I take the good question.
That's a good question.
And what this can do is help you develop questions that you don't think about.
100%.
People are thinking about things you think you know what the public thinks, but you more often not, you don't, and it gives you real guidance.
Exactly. And the only way to get that, I never presume that I could write a good questionnaire without some kind of qualitative research. Okay.
Focus groups used to do that, but this does it a lot better.
Yeah. Focus groups have a poll.
Peter Hart came to me in 1979 and said, I want, you're doing polls. I was at the Wall Street Journal. Let's do focus groups. I said, what are focus groups? He said, this is how infantile it was then. So you get about 10 people together for 2 hours. I said, well, suppose 6 people feel one way and 3 the other. Is that? He said, no, that's not what it is.
Yeah.
You're looking for depth.
Exactly.
And I think they've served a useful purpose. Some are misused. Whenever anyone says, well, I did a focus group of 11 people and 77% voted for X.
Right.
That's ridiculous.
Right. But we can do this though with 1,000 people tonight.
Yeah.
1,000 people tonight. You can have an in-depth conversation about whatever is happening in the news today. Right. And that just has never existed before. And it costs less than focus groups, less than polls. Because the point is that like we want to give people a voice and we want to give no excuse. So you're not tapping into this.
So, all political consultants say, when you get old, you like to tell stories. In 1988, of course, campaign at Frank Bautenberg, and Anzalone did a lot of area.
Anzalone, by the way, Anzalone was our first funder for this company, by the way.
Okay.
He gets it.
And Lautenberg was a bolder, kind of cranky guy, so Pete Dawkins, the Heisman Trophy winner, the youngest general in the history of the Army, I don't know, Jack Armstrong, squad jaw guy, was the Republicans recruiting something in New Jersey, and then there was like this explosive thing. And so I told Bob Squire, was our media consultant, and I said, send somebody to tape Dawkins' announcement. And so they came back and they showed it. And he said, actually, he almost didn't give me the exact words. He said, Judy and I, we've lived 22 different places in 21 different years. But we've never lived anywhere that we like more than our beautiful Garden State. It sounded to me like just claptrap bullshit. They got motherfucking wisdom right here in Colfax Parish, Louisiana. They got all of Boston combined. Yay! So we started to have somebody who were doing a focus groups and say, let's show some video of Dawkins. And from day one, he went, that guy's full of shit. I wouldn't live here. If I had money, you think I'd live here? I'd move to California. I'd live in California. I got a cousin that lives in Florida. And we started doing it, and we showed it. Must have been 5 different, 2 groups, so probably 10 different focus groups. And I said, shit, we're just going to put this on TV. The opening spot was Pete Dawkins on why he moved to New Jersey. No editorial comment, no nothing. Him saying that. In 10 days, he was done.
Yeah.
Okay. And it was during the Jewish holidays, and Frank was like, he was supposed to talk, but he calls everybody, see that majors don't advertise gimbals. What the hell are y'all doing? And get that goddamn thing off. Yes, I'll get it right away, since I got to call the stations because we can't get it out of traffic until this.
Yeah.
I literally just done like you wouldn't believe. I mean, in 10 days, it just ended him. It was nothing but.
And by the way, Dawkins could have tested that in a poll. It might have looked good in a poll to say that. Okay. It might have. But when he showed it to people, it was a different reaction because they could see that it was fake.
Yes.
Right. Let me ask you this before you go. Yeah. How's Fair Harbor doing?
We're doing okay. We're doing great. It's a first week of the semester. We're so excited. We've got our 52nd poll coming out in April. So look for it around.
We will be looking every day. John Della Volpe,
All right.
one of our very, very favorite guests. Thank you so much.
Thank you
Thanks,
so much.
Al.
This
Thanks,
is
man.
very exciting.
Thank you
This is
so
very
much.
exciting.
Richard,
Thanks, Al.